Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Montessori Midweek live stream. We're so glad that you joined us again today. We are very excited to chat about our upcoming initiative in Sweden today. So we'll get to that in just a moment. First, I wanted to remind everyone that we do have all of these live streams up on our Facebook page. If you just scroll down the page, on our LinkedIn page, if you scroll down, or on our YouTube channel. So if you missed any of our previous conversations, some of them have been great about great resources in the Montessori community. So please do take a moment to check those out if you have time. Today, I'm very excited to have with us Camilla Nichols, who is our newest AIM team member. And she is going to head up our initiative in Sweden. She is our AIM Early Childhood Level Coordinator for Sweden. And so welcome, Camilla. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, Carolyn, and it's been a crazy ride the last couple months, but so excited, and I'm just so thrilled to be a part of AIM. And so I wanted to share a little bit about my story. I was born and raised in Sweden, and I always knew that I wanted to work with children. So I joined the university in Malmö and did an early childhood training course. And towards the end, the last semester, our teacher took out the pink tower from the cabinet, and everybody went, she talked about it. But I also remember her saying, well, it's a very strict method. They stand in line and they hold hands. And she immediately had like a negative. And I thought, well, okay, this doesn't sound too, intriguing. A month later, we had a field trip to Holland. And we visited several early childhood trainings as preschools, one of them being a Montessori school. And I walked in and I was sold. I loved everything that I saw. So I couldn't wait to finish the training in Sweden. And at the time, there was no Montessori training available in Sweden. So London was the closest place. So I packed my bag, moved to London, and was very fortunate to do my Montessori training at St. Nicholas, which was one of the last training centers that Maria Montessori herself established. So it was very authentic and very special. Beautiful old historic building right across from Hyde Park. In the hallways, there were pictures of Maria Montessori and Gandhi. And our teachers had teachers who had been taught by Maria Montessori. So it was really, really special. It was also really special at the time to be able to do it full time. So we had observations at all different Montessori schools in London in the morning, and then we would come together at lunch, and then we did all the philosophy and the theory and practicing hands-on with the lessons at St. Nicholas. Also had a beautiful garden. So sometimes we would do our training outside, and there is a picture of Maria Montessori standing in that garden before we were there doing the same thing with her adult learners. So it was a very special start, and I was, I didn't have a family at the time, but I fell in love with everything that the Montessori method delivered. And I ended up staying in London and moved on to the 6 to 9 training, which is elementary portion, and then stayed on to start working at a Montessori school in London. And then after 3 years, I got a little homesick. So I decided, well, I need to go back to Sweden and share with Sweden what I have learned. So I started to join Bladins Montessori International School in Malmö, and was a great experience. But I knew when I was home that there was a door that had opened up to the world. And I had always been very curious when I lived in London if the Montessori method also worked in a third world country, such as Asia. So an opportunity came for me to work at a school in Jakarta, Indonesia. I barely knew where it was on the map, but it was my calling. So I was so excited, and I had full support from my parents, and it was the best experience ever. Every day was different. I had about 15 to 18 students who all spoke different languages. So for me, it was that first opportunity to learn that the Montessori method can be taught through silence and the power that comes with that. And it was such a profound experience. My assistants that I had there were so hungry for learning. So we started in-house training right away. And it was just an amazing experience. I started writing articles, and I wanted to share with the world that Montessori works, not just in the Western world, but in the third world country as well.
That's amazing. And the materials are the same. So that's the beauty of Montessori is you walk into a Montessori classroom in any continent or any
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was a little scared landing in the airport in Jakarta and going on the roads and had no idea where I was going. But the minute I stepped into the Montessori school, it was like, oh, I'm at home.
Yeah.
And that's been the feeling for me, all these 30 years that I've been traveling. And I say that to parents as well when they are nervous about moving their children. I said, don't be, they're going to go to their home where they feel comfortable. So, but then unfortunately at the time, this was 98, it was politically unstable in Jakarta, and they kind of encouraged expats to leave. So love took me to United States. And then I've been here pretty much ever since, so for 30 years. And I've been very fortunate to work at some incredible Montessori schools, and been with some schools from the get-go, opening them up in Texas. I've been in Connecticut, Maryland, New Jersey. When I was in Connecticut, it was at Whitby, which was one of the first Montessori schools in the US, that also AMS founder started. So that was really special. And then I'm now with the Montessori Children's Academy. I've been here for 20 years. And I was a teacher for the first couple of years, but quickly went into a role of senior director, and also helped start their teacher training program. So that then became and has become my passion now, that I now want to teach adults and I want to inspire adults, and I want to share what I've learned from the world. I did have the opportunity to go home to Sweden recently to work for a few years as well. And I went back to Bladins, where I was 25 years ago, only to learn that most of the teachers there did not have Montessori training. There were one or two, but they had done the training a long time ago. So they just said, I need inspiration. I need help so that I know that I'm using the materials the right way. So we started a wave of in-house training, very intensive for all the teachers, worked night and day, did training with the parents. We pulled out materials, we purchased more materials, we turned it into what is now a really great Montessori school, which is also where we will host the training with AIM. So for me, everything is coming full circle. Like I left Sweden because there was no Montessori training on site. And now I've been all around the world. I've gained amazing experience. I've seen Montessori work in all different continents. And now I'm able to bring back Montessori training to Sweden to make sure that the teachers that are in a Montessori school are trained. So it's really, really special for me. So AIM has just it just landed in my laps, and it's been amazing, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm so thrilled to have this opportunity. So.
Well, we're so happy to have you on with us. And I love how we connected, and I love how that this happens in the Montessori world and probably in the world in general. But you reached out to the contact email and just were interested in sharing your passion for training teachers. And then we met and we started to talk, and we realized that we had this opportunity in Sweden to pursue and to bring Montessori training to Sweden. So that was such a unfolded in this conversation that we were having. And that was just a few months ago. And we've already made such headway towards this goal. It's such an exciting thing. So.
Yeah, it is. I think it was about mid-January. So literally 2.5 months ago. Yeah. But it's I think you said, when things are meant to be, they just unfold, and it's just the right connections, is the right energy. We have the same goal. I love that AIM is a nonprofit. I love the authenticity of AIM. That's really important to me. So when I learned about Elizabeth Kaspari and Mary Ellen, I thought, I don't know any other training center today that can offer to share that authenticity. So I think that's really special with AIM.
Well, thank you. We are so honored to have so many hours of footage of Dr. Kaspari's teachings, and Mary Ellen's connection to her is such a beautiful thing. And the way that it's been passed down from Dr. Montessori to Dr. Kaspari to Mary Ellen is beautiful. So we're happy to have you and your passion. And and immediately when I first started talking to you, we had a Zoom meeting. I was like, oh, she is like excited about this. She is passionate about this. I want to make this happen with her. So the energy is amazing. And I can imagine that you are a fantastic Montessori trainer because of your just like you exude the passion for Montessori. And I'm sure people can get that from you and are just inspired by it.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's a true honor. And I know many of my Montessori friends feel very strongly about if you're bringing a training program anywhere, it has to be MACD accredited. So when I learned that AIM was MACD accredited, I felt immediately comforted. And then reading your syllabus and then learning about all the footage, it's really amazing. So thank you to Elizabeth Kaspari and thank you to Mary Allen for making this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're excited. And we just like, well, this is a new initiative. So we're, building the plane as we fly it, which is what we do a lot here because we get excited and we just embark on these amazing projects and we make it happen. So we are now accepting interest applications. So basically, if you're interested or you know someone who's interested in training in Sweden, the training will be in Swedish. So it will be translated into Swedish. Camilla will be leading it in Swedish. And then the residency will be held in Malmö. And am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, absolutely. And Caroline is taking Swedish lessons, I learned. So
I'm trying. In southern Sweden in July of 2025. So it's a great introductory price since we when we were first beginning translations and we're rolling something out, we are very careful not to overstep and we want to make sure that everybody has a great experience. So we have introductory pricing to make sure that we're all learning and growing together. There's only room for 15 people to enroll. So we have about 7 at this point. So we are excited about that. Enrollment will end in September. So we still have a few months, a lot of months actually. It's only, so we have a lot of months left to get those last folks enrolled, but it's a great opportunity to get very affordable, authentic Montessori training in Swedish with a residency in Sweden. So you don't have to travel to another country to get your Montessori training. So it should be a great opportunity.
Yeah. And if you're Swedish and you're living in the US, you can still join and you can choose if you want the material, all the albums in Swedish or English or get it in both. But then you could do the residency in the US if you're unable to make it to Malmö. So there's a lot. I think it's a nice thing with AIM too. They offer a lot of flexibility. Basically, we're going to help you so that we can make this happen.
Yeah, and that's our mission. Our mission is to just be able to provide authentic Montessori training and certification to as many people as possible globally. So we try to accommodate needs in the best way we can and bring Montessori training to countries where it doesn't exist in great quantities or at all. So we're excited that Camilla is here to help us achieve that goal in Sweden, and happy that you brought it to our attention, that you were excited about this opportunity and that this was a potential area for growth as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it really has been a dream of mine for 30 years, and now it's just all organically happening very quickly. And, AIM is there and has it all to deliver to make this happen. And so now we're looking for a few more adult learners, and then we're a go for the first cohort. And then we'll start another one. If there is a need, we'll start one in January of 25.
25, yeah.
Or the following September. So this is not just a one-time go. It'll be an ongoing. However, the tuition will not be the same, after the first round. So that's why it's really special, and this is a great opportunity.
Yeah. So please share this with your Montessori global communities, that this opportunity exists, and we really are excited about this endeavor, and we all want to go to Sweden. All there. So we don't know if that'll be a possibility, but I would love to be there and see this training unfold and be able to feel that passion that you have and share it with others. So
absolutely
excited. So, and we also have other initiatives going on now too. We're not just looking at Sweden, but we're yesterday, 2 of our infant toddler faculty members arrived. Well, they arrived this morning very early in Vietnam, in Hanoi, to finish our infant toddler training there. And we are currently offering our early childhood training in Spanish. So we have a lot of opportunities for kind of global Montessori access. And so be sure to visit our website and not just the Sweden page, which is in Swedish. So if you visit it and you're an English speaker, it might be a little difficult. It was a little difficult to make that page for me, and which is why I started trying to learn Swedish so I could understand what I was writing and what Camilla was telling me to edit.
Yeah, that was quite impressive. I would get a paragraph, and then I was like, wow, I wonder really what Caroline is thinking reading this. And then you were so good. You're like, okay, I think this is how you translate it. I started, studying some Swedish, and I had to have my aunt check in with me because living in the US for 30 years, some of my Swedish words are not there as quick as they used to be. So I've had some support from Sweden. So tack så mycket. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then I start getting some comments on Instagram and Facebook in Swedish. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But that's been such a fun thing, actually, just like embracing all these other languages. And it makes me wish I was bilingual. It's a beautiful thing to be. So you're very lucky to have that skill, or not lucky, but to work hard on it. But
I know. I know. And I feel I have two children that are grown, 23 and 20 years old, who both went through Montessori, of course, and are bilingual. And, not until they got older, they said, wow, I can speak another language. Yes. I've been telling you.
Big deal.
But they also have dual citizenship. So they're able to now, basically live anywhere in Europe. So I think they're getting excited to maybe venture on that.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And I wanted to share. So my daughter is in North Carolina and my son is in Colorado. But my daughter did an overseas program in Italy a year ago. And that was at the time when I was living in Sweden. And so I visited her like every other weekend. I would just take my bag and go, it's only an hour and a half flight, so it's quick. But after 30 years, I was able to have my dream come true also to visit Casa de Bambini outside Rome. And I took the train from Certaldo, where she was, into Florence, a speed train from Florence to Rome, ran from the Rome train station. I only had one day. And I didn't have an appointment. And for those of you that know, you can't just walk into Casa de Bambini, and the website is still in Italian. So it's really hard to connect with them if you don't have connections. But as luck had it, I walked in and the gates were open into the garden. So I walked in and I was shaking just being in this, surrounded by the rose bush that's still there that Maria Montessori planted. And I thought, well, if I'm here, I have to ring the doorbell. The worst they can say is no. And I know 0 words of Italian. So I Google Translate quickly. Very quickly rang the doorbell, and this woman opened, and I said, I'm sorry, and I'm showing her, and she's like, un momento, and she shuts the door, walks away, and I thought, oh my God. Comes back, and the director opens the door, who actually spoke English, and she said, you really have to have an appointment. I said, I know. It's just, if it's possible. She's like, well, the children are in the lunchroom, so okay, you get 3 minutes. So I was so startled and not prepared for this experience. So I walk in, and I was shaking. My tears are down my cheeks. So now the director starts crying because she gets emotional with me. And I'm just looking at this room where everything started. I'm looking at the quotes, help me to help myself in Italian. It's still there on the wall. I'm looking at the materials that looks like it was from 1907. And it was just amazing. And and then she said, do you want to see the children quickly? I said, yes, please, can I? So she took me out of the classroom across the courtyard, and the children were having lunch, and they're sitting with their tablecloths and the fresh flowers and, the porcelain plates, and they all have little checkered blue aprons, just the way it looked like from 1907. And it was incredible. And then they said, okay, adios. So, they wanted me to leave, but I couldn't. Like, I spent probably 3 hours there, like in the garden. And then I talked to parents when they picked up, and, they shared their story. And it was such a profound moment. So I was just thrilled to be able to do that. So
that's an amazing story. And it's almost like a pilgrimage of sorts, right?
Yeah.
So a place that really is meaningful to you and to so many people, and has touched so many people's lives. Everywhere for over 100 years. It's amazing.
It really is amazing. And I feel like even though I've done this for 30 years, you know, I'm still seeing new things. I'm still learning new things. And I love that so much. And we were recently at the AMS conference in Orlando, and I was gifted the 2 books that I had never read, which is letters that Maria Montessori wrote when she did her first trip over to the United States in 1913. And it's her own diary. And it's incredible to read. You know, I've been so focused on the, you know, delivering the method and the prepared environment and the lessons, but to read and come on the inside of her, to see what her view was in 1913, leaving Italy because the United States, Woodrow Wilson, Margaret Wilson said, come over here. You know, we want you to be here in person. And so that whole experience. Then she went back, and then she goes one more time in 1915. She brings her son Mario with her, and now she's writing letters in her diary to her dad, who's 85 and not too healthy in Italy. So the last couple of days, I've been reading her diaries, and I mean, I always thought she was an amazing woman, but to get to the inside of hearing that she was nervous too when she was talking in front of people, and that she felt underdressed the first time, that she had a wrinkled shirt, and, you know, and how she was welcomed in the United States, and how she felt, I didn't realize I was, you know, this big, and that this is really, you know, making a difference now in today's world. So I can highly recommend those 2 books. Those are amazing.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to have to read that one because I love humanizing these glorified figures, which she deserves every bit of that glory. But it's lovely to see people as people too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, many of us know the hardship that when she went through with her son. So to read her diary with her connection that everything was about him. Once he was back in her life, it was all about him. And it was his happiness, not hers. And in most of the letters she's writing to her father, that's what she's talking about. So it was very touching and very special.
Well, I feel like that's a perfect recommendation to end on, and we'll post a link to that too. And I'll have to go buy that today so I can start reading it.
Yes, you should. Yeah, excellent.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today, and for sharing your passion for Montessori, and for helping us bring it to Sweden. And we're so excited for this, and we're so excited that you're part of our team now.
Well, thank you. So am I. So I will say in Swedish, tack så mycket. Och välkomna alla som vill vara med på denna spännande resan. Jag ser fram emot att arbeta tillsammans med er.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I will let you all go. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay. And we will next week Candace will be on with our elementary level coordinator, Suzanne, and she's going to share some really cool materials with folks. So that'll be a great one. Don't miss that next week. Camilla, thank you. We will be together again soon, and all of you will see you next week on our midweek live stream. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.